I just don't feel well. I don't know what it is. I'm like all up in my thoughts. Today, I don't know what it is. I feel um, like deeply off. Um, and I don't know where it's coming from or, yeah, like what it's being triggered by, or, but I'm having one of those days where you're kind of like, I don't know if you can relate, but I really feel like I don't understand my place in things. Um, I don't understand my why I'm on the internet. Why do I do this? Why am I on the internet? Why am I so hung up on? I think I've been doom scrolling like really heavily lately, and it has just like really taken me to a point where like the the kind of fabric of like how I view myself or how I make myself a place in things, in spaces, in the world, and in the real world and in the digital world, like the fabric of that has like completely come unwoven, um, unwoven myself. And yeah, so I'm having such a weird time. And then here I am on the internet again, using it as a space to talk about that phenomenon or those feelings. And I just want, there's something like I have this overwhelming feeling like I want to like erase my identity. Um, and the like fastest or most like practical way to me feels like deleting all of my internet presence, like just like completely getting rid of my Instagram, like deleting the whole, like wiping it completely clean and deleting the app and just like not being there. And I don't know, like I'm just, and here I am like boo hoo, like, it's probably things that everyone thinks about. Just finished an incredible book that I've been reading for Katie James's book club, which is called A Flat Place by Noreen, I think. Noreen Masud. Um, and it was incredible. I read it like over a few days and just was completely sucked into this incredible memoir, talking about flat places and complex post traumatic stress disorder, CPTSD. And just in a really like personal way, really evocative, really just, I loved it. I really loved it. And there's a lot of talk in Noreen's experience about the phenomenon of derealization, um, that is prevalent in people with CPTSD, where things start to feel not real, like that conversations don't feel real, people don't feel real to you, the world is not feeling real. Um, you're derealized. Everything feels derealized. I had a friend like a few years ago who went through a period of that like very intensely, and I remember it being quite obviously very disturbing for her. And I don't know if it's like reading about that and just like thinking about my reality in that way. But I just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm having some mirrored um, like echoes of that in my own life or something. But um, so here I am. It's Sunday, July 21st. I'm feeling super off. So I am logging onto the internet to sort through that. Anyway, so sorry to start this video off with a note of that feels quite down, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I don't know if I'm also reacting like particularly badly to drinking alcohol lately, like which I have not like been drinking like massive amounts of alcohol by any means, like just having like a glass of wine, but I don't remember a period where like I would feel so bad after drinking like a glass or a glass and a half of wine the next day, and like that is happening recently. Like I had a glass of wine with dinner last night. Like my partner and I made a dinner for my mother who's in town for like 2 weeks. And like I don't know, today I just feel like really bad, and so I don't know if it's connected. Something I really love doing is hanging clothes on the wall. So this is like a vintage working coat that I bought in San Francisco. It has like full stains on it from who knows what, but that's one kind of interior thing I like to do is hang clothes on the wall. Since having finished A Flat Place, I kind of just picked up, like, I have this stack of library books that I like really need to return, especially because we're moving back to New York in like 10 days and I should not accidentally take library books with me. So I need to return this stack. So I kind of was like picking up. So I'm reading I Am the Brother of XX by Fleur Jaeggy. Fleur Jaeggy is a Swiss author, if I'm not mistaken. And there it says translated by, and then it's covered by the library sticker. Oh, translated by Ginny Aladef, published by New Directions. I'd been hearing about Fleur Jaeggy for a while, and just a very intriguing title and cover and small stories, short stories. And I don't know, I mean, I'm finding it confusing. There have been maybe like 2 or 3 stories out of the like 9 or 10 I've read so far that I thought were interesting. But everything else, the style is quite like I don't understand what's going on. And yeah, quite unsettling. So maybe that's not helping my mood. Um, but yeah, so I'm kind of reading that, but I've been like this afternoon kind of like wanting to read something else. So I picked up another thing from that stack, which is The Sorrows of an American by Siri Hustvedt. Started reading it in a coffee shop and then was like, I just need to go home. I don't know. I'm just feeling weird and like couldn't sit still and couldn't be there, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna come back on here hopefully out of this weird strange mood. So anyway, I guess this is a vlog. um yeah, okay, catch you later. Oh yeah, of course. If no one sit there, then I can sit here. Well, hello. I've got archival Sunny's book truck hat on. Should I take it off though, so you can actually see me? Since you've last seen me, I have. I'm doing better. So I spoke a bit too soon about I Am the Brother of XX by Floriegi. And the last clip, obviously, it was in like a state. And I felt like this book was just like I just had decided that I didn't like it, or that I didn't like any of the stories. But I found like maybe out of 12 or something I've read so far, there are a handful of like 4 or 5 that really stick out to me. Being The Gentleman and the Lizard. There's one story I just like skipped altogether. I was like, as I was reading it, I was like, what are you saying? Like, I just did not get it at all. So I just skipped it. The last like 3 that I've read though, I actually really liked. One called The Visitor, which is about this woman named Angela that goes to a museum in Naples, and like kind of this piece is sort of like almost like a feverish, dreamy. The 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 figures of the paintings are coming out of the paintings and like coming alive in the story, and then like going back inside. There is a lot actually in these stories about art, and specifically like figures and faces and portraits and things like that. Like those characters kind of having a voice, or like the narrative is about them, or and the relationship between the seer of a painting and the painting seeing, which I really like as like just themes of things. Black Lace Veil also was examining like a photograph. Like this woman sees her mother in a photograph with the Pope, and she sees all of a sudden that her mother is depressed. Like she discovers that her mother has depression through the way suddenly that her mother's face looks like in front of the Pope. And kind of being like consumed by her gaze, and how desperate she looked, and like this gaze of desperation like drives the main character, the daughter of the story, to like really go into what didn't she know about her mother. And I thought that was really beautiful as well. Something about like figures in paintings, figures in photographs, and then like the person in the real world, and the relationship between the two, and the narrative going back and forth. And so that, yeah, that I all find really interesting. So The Visitor was great. Adelaide is a little story about a woman who goes to have her son baptized, and the priest refuses to baptize him because he looks at her as an undeserving mother, like a dirty mother. Little story is just like a few pages of her kind of fantasizing about the ways that she wants to kill this priest, and kind of a wacky ending. And then I read one now at the coffee shop, and like totally didn't get it. And another one I totally didn't get. So I'm on page 91. So I think it's 125 pages. So anyway, I'm like liking a few and liking them very much, but being like generally really confused about all of the other ones. Floriegi was friends with the writer Ingeborg Bachmann, who shows up in these stories, and it segues to the next book I want to talk to you about, which is by Ingeborg Bachmann. So these two authors were friends, and this person is in these stories occasionally. So this is Sophie from Bibliosophie. It's her book club that she runs on Substack. This is Malina. I didn't know that these two women knew each other, and that they would have presence in each other's literary worlds as well, but that just happened by kind of accident, and that's fun. I'm taking a little bit of notes, and I'm also, as I'm reading it, I'm logging on to Sophie's Substack to read her like reading notes that she's doing like kind of every few sections of the book, and just kind of like, yeah, getting deep in her brain and what this book makes her write about and think about, and in music and art. And yeah, like just the first reading notes that I read this morning, It just felt kind of like a very interactive way of reading, and also felt a little bit like being in a class. Like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn like many new references from this and musical knowledge and things that I am interested in. So it was really fun to like read and then read along with Sophie's notes, or it felt to me kind of like she's my Malina professor. I'm enjoying this. I think, about like 15% through, and we're following an unnamed female character and her relationship to two different men, Ivan and Malina. And so right now I'm kind of really in the beginning. The introduction's by Rachel Kushner, who I really love, which I thought was such an interesting pairing. And then I got through the first section, which is kind of like introducing the characters, like literally a character list and a short like part. And then now I'm in the first real part. And this section's called Happy with Ivan. There are some very, very long sentences in this book. And sometimes I just have to, I was chatting with Sophie about it, like sometimes in this book I have to be like, I have to read a whole passage and be like, whoa, and then like not get it and just move on. And like, and then kind of like refer to her notes as well, because she's like really much enjoying kind of like going into this text and picking this text apart and kind of really chewing on it, which is amazing. And I feel like with this kind of book, like if I do that too much, I'll get stuck, and I need to kind of also just like read through it and just like accept the passages that are going whoop like over me. There are some amazing lines in this book. Like I was like, oh, I'll just write down a quote, and then it was like this long, and almost this whole thing is one sentence. So that's my other read. I think I'm going to try to finish this so I can return it to the library. Just a few more, and then I will dive back into that one. Okay, catch you later. Hi, it's Tuesday, July 23rd. I wanted to just pop on and give a little update on the reading. So let me get the book. So I did finish last night I Am the Brother of XX by Floriegi. Like overall, I think for me specifically, this wasn't something to like, I don't know, just run home about. Is that the right expression? Because I think that there were a few stories that I did enjoy, and there is something about the way that she writes and like describes certain things that I feel like is quite fascinating and also quite singular. I kind of had really high expectations for this, and like there were some stories that I enjoyed, but I think that like the amount of them that I didn't like probably outweighed the few that stand out to me as like, oh, that's really interesting. I'd like to really like reread that, or I'd like to dig into that, or like really take my time with that. But I felt, or I just didn't have patience for the kind of style that this is in right now or something. But I don't know. I just think like generally I didn't like really enjoy it. Reminded me while I was reading this last night that I was saying that Malina by Ingeborg Bachmann has like super long sentences. This is actually the opposite, like very, very short sentences, which most of the time I like. There is like an exploration of art, painting, and religion specifically in these stories, in many of these stories, and dealing with kind of like God, afterlife, priesthood, salvation, things like that. And all of those themes like I really like and I liked about these stories, but yeah, just overall I think like didn't hit it. I just found myself quite confused most of the time. So still reading Malina. So I've been dipping back into this, and then I've also been reading Scaffolding by Lauren Elkin, which I have an arc of, which is about the same apartment in Paris, just like two different families in two different time periods living in the same apartment. I think that that's the premise, but I'm really in the beginning, like 5%. I didn't even reread the blurb before I started. But I think what I remember online from reading about it was like it's kind of the setting is this apartment in Paris. One is a couple that's like renovating their kitchen, and then like in another time it's a different situation and I don't know what it is. Lauren Elkin wrote Art Monsters, which I haven't read, but I found really intriguing, and everything I've heard about it has been really great. And yeah, I thought like someone that would write about like feminist art and unruly feminist, what is it called? What's the full title of Art Monsters? Unruly bodies in feminist art. Um, I thought that like that a person that would write a nonfiction book about that, probably a novel that they would write, I would find interesting. So that's Scaffolding. So really in the beginning of Scaffolding, um, I'm about like 20% through Malina by Ingeborg Bachmann, but neither of those I'll probably finish by the time, like, very soon. So I don't know. I think I should maybe end this vlog here, and then just continue those in like a different video. Wanted to share as well that on Substack for my paid subscribers, I shared a link to the duet performance that my partner Ohad and I just recently premiered in a museum here in Richmond. We got a really nice video, and we spent some time editing it and putting it all together. So I thought it would be a really nice thing to share. So if you're a subscriber on Substack, a paid subscriber, then that will be in your email. If you want to consider subscribing for like other videos, then that is also like a nice like just extra thing that I've shared on there recently. I'm also thinking about doing some kind of like, I don't know, $3 for $3 you can buy the link or something, and share it with just anyone who's interested in watching our performance, because it's like my art and what I do. Like I can't just offer the video for free, but yeah, I would want to make it something accessible and for people who are interested. So maybe I'll figure out how to do that. Like I don't know if by email, or I don't know. Can you just like put your Venmo on the internet? Is that safe? I'll leave my email address, which I always do, downstairs in the description box. So if you want, you can just shoot me an email, and then we can like talk on there, and I can pass you the link. But yeah, I think like something like $3 would be like a nice way for me to share that and still kind of get something back for my work. What did we do today? We met a friend for coffee, ran into another friend by accident in the same coffee shop, and then we went and had pho with another friend. I think like we're leaving in like 9 days from Richmond for New York, so it's kind of like our time to sort of like wrap up our time here, and just kind of like meet friends before we move. So we did that. We had pho, and then which is kind of like a iconic Richmond spot. If you're ever in Richmond, go to Pho Te Do. And then we're gonna go make dinner with my mom tonight in like an hour. So I'm gonna read a little bit, maybe finish editing this video. yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Um, and yeah, just getting in the groove of vlogging again. I'm sure once we're in New York, there'll be like fun New York stuff, and maybe possibly some moving stuff. If you would like to send any good energy our way, we have about like the first 15 days of August to like find an apartment in New York. So if you'd like to send us your good juju, we would really, really appreciate it. um, and yeah, so I'll catch you later, soon, sometime. Thanks for watching.